as the case may be. After recording findings, therefore, allow the goods to be transported. So a ray of hope has been given and use of ATM also is provided for. The vehicle will not be stopped unless it is found that transporter is not carrying any e-way bill or transit pass and discrepancy in respect of the weight of the goods mentioned in e-way bill or transit pass. So it has been very clear as far as rule is concerned. Then there are further rules which talk about inspection of goods, examination of goods, inspection of documents, etc. And then further sub-rule says that if there is any discrepancy found, officer shall immediately issue Form 905, that is a notice prescribed, for submission of revised e-way bill or transit pass. That means opportunity is given to you to redo the thing. But thing is that once again, if you look to Form 905, then you will find that in this 905, they have listed 8 items for the defects, and out of the 8 items for the defects, they carry all. They say transfer mode is different, consignee detail is different, it is not matching, then also that particular notice can be issued. Consignment of goods not covered by proper documents. Entire goods not covered by proper documents. Documents carried by person in charge of vehicles are defective. Discrepancy in goods in respect of description, and take it from me, it is bound to be there. वो दिल्ली राजस्थान एरिया से जो भी बेडशीट्स वगैरह आते हैं ना, वो सब के ऊपर फैब्रिक्स लिखा रहता है, हैंडलूम फैब्रिक्स, और इधर का आदमी लिख के देगा वो टेक्सटाइल्स है, बेडशीट्स है. So there is bound to be a difference. Discrepancy in quantity, discrepancy in value of goods, defect in records, and last one it says any other omission. Now I fail to understand that having pointed out of these 8 defects, certain defects, how do they expect me to upload a fresh 901 or 902 as the case may be? On what basis? Because if you are coming to a conclusion documents are wrong, okay, documents are wrong, but my form 901 may always be correct in all respect. Then how do I revise my that 901? Is a $1 million question which dealer will have to face. But that is only the, you can say, test of the days to come. Then there is once again a little bit of solace given to dealers. If vehicle is carrying perishable goods, officer will record his findings and allow the goods to be transported and transfer records of any discrepancy in goods or defects in records or omission to economic intelligence unit of the sales tax department. तो वो आदमी बोलेगा साहब मेरा गुड्स पेरिशेबल है, लेकिन आप इधर ही मुझे नोटिस दे दो, मैं इधर ही सब कुछ करता हूँ, मुझे आप EIU के पास मत भेजो. Then I will not go into the details of those forms etc. because those forms etc. Lots of options are given, and basically there is an asterisk mark and it says that whatever all these blah 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 is given will change according to your transfer mode. So I will just point out a very few things and rest I will leave it to you for reading. As far as 901 is concerned, they have given certain transfer modes, and those are 6. Interstate purchase, imports from India, branch transfer or consignment, goods return, for labor or processing, and others. So you have to choose out of these. Once you select anyone, then your options down below will change, and what you have to key in thereafter, you are supposed to key in thereafter consignor detail, consignee detail, consignee के other details like IEC code, custom house clearing agent, his mobile, bill of entry number etc. Transporter detail, document detail, commodity detail. Commodity details के अंदर there are goods type, whether they are taxable, non-taxable, perishable, non-perishable, explosive, hazardous. All these options are given to you, and then you have to mention its units or quantity and weight, and lastly you have to mention value of goods. And I am a very ordinary person, very ordinary. I was just looking, okay, I am going to import something from Delhi. How I will file my 901? Okay, from whom I am going to buy, I know. I will key in his number. But we are not that techno savvy or that upgraded that I will come to know कि वो कौन से ट्रांसपोर्टर के पास माल दे रहा है. First thing, वो कौन सा नंबर का बिल बना रहा है और उसके अंदर मेरा गुड्स का क्या वैल्यू दिखा रहा है. It cannot happen always in this scenario which they are expecting to happen. But that is how the things are there, that they are expecting you to key in all these in your 901 which you are going to port first as e-way bill. This copy you are going to send to that transporter fellow who will carry it along with his 903, and then only the goods will get cleared from the border check post. So very happy days are coming very soon. We will have to wait for 25th of July 2014. But anyway, this was only the glimpse of the border check post rules. Thank you very much for patiently hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran. Hello, please wait for 5 minutes. Thank you, Kiran Bhai, for explaining the provisions of the. Any questions? Yeah, any questions? Then 5 questions.
Sir, may I ask a question? Sir, regarding section 29(3) of the MVAT Act, now that CD has come that if he charges the penalty, then it is to be between 25% and 100%. But the word may also still remains in statute. So do we have the option that if he may levy either 0% or between 25% and 100%?
Yeah, that's what I said in Ankit International. High Court has explained 2 scenarios, or rather even the Commissioner's circular when these particular penalty provisions were introduced. Firstly, looking into entire circumstances, officer has to decide whether it is a fit case for levy of penalty or not. If answer is no, he need not levy. He will have to mention his recordings and reasoning why he is not levying penalty. But if he comes other way around to a decision that yes, this requires levy of penalty, then High Court tried to say that it will be 0 to 100%. Now this amendment says no, it will be 25% to 100%. So first option is always there. Whether to levy or not to levy will always be available to that assessing officer.
Sir, one more question was there. This is regarding section 2311, form 316. Now this 2311, the limit has been introduced from 24th of June 2014 for the 3 months. So now what would happen to the existing applications which are pending with the department? Whether they will be deemed to be automatically cancelled if say more than 3 months have already elapsed, whether it will be applicable to those applications also, or would it be applicable only to the applications in form 316 made after this particular date?
I think wherever the applications are pending for cancellation, all will see the benefit of this particular amendment. They will all be treated as cancelled automatically. If that period of 3 years is over by 26th of June, they will automatically be treated as cancelled from 26th of June. And especially the applications which are filed after 26th of June, to that particular period of 3 months, etc. will be applicable. Because ultimately the spirit of the amendment is that they do not want to keep these particular things lingering. They want that these orders will be deemed to have been cancelled, so that my calculation of further 18 months will start expedited.
So it means that if I have made the application before 1 year, say in June 2013 I have filed, and say on June 2014, on 24th June, the 12-month period is getting over, or rather 3 months is getting over. So now from 24th June for those earlier, I will get 18 months from 24th June onwards.
From 24th June onwards, yes. 26th June onwards.
26th June onwards.
Yes.
10 lakhs. Again the same basic question, how to count the 30 days applicability. Now say the turnover has exceeded 5 lakhs on 15th of June. After 15th of June, the dealer is having 30 days time till 15th of July to apply for registration. And now as on today, the limit has exceeded, now limit is now 10 lakhs. So whether he will still have to get himself registered because as on 15th June he had crossed 5 lakhs. So for the period of 15th June to 24th June, the dealer would become liable for registration, and thereafter he would be, that is the issue.
Theoretically what you are trying to say is very correct. because the limit was applicable up to 26th of June of 5 lakhs of rupees. Now take a situation that some dealer has crossed that 5 lakhs of limit on 20th of June. So he becomes virtually liable for getting registered within 30 days period. Now only thing over here is that looking into the entire scheme which they have framed, that they do not want these small dealers to be their baggage when they are moving ahead. And that's why they have provided for getting their numbers cancelled if their turnover has not exceeded in 13-14. I don't think there will be any good reason for them to force you to get registered. But we will have to wait and watch for trade circular as to what stand they are taking. Because technically, yes, within 30 days, the dealer who has crossed 20 on 20th of June, he will have to get himself registered. Only thing is that from 26th of June, suppose if any dealer has crossed now 5 lakhs, now we cannot go and tell that I want number. We will have to have that turnover of 10 lakhs only.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, for VAT refund, you said the amendment is there now that we need not file 305 to Commissioner for assessment. Now, if we want the refund and 501 form is not filed, so how can we get the refund now?
I told you that we used to file taking help of that Diva Enterprises that this particular judgment is favorable, and that's why we were barred from filing our 501. We are attaching it in physical format. And as an additional precaution, we used to file 305 requesting Commissioner to instruct that officer to conduct the assessment. Now that latter part has gone, but first part it is still throbbing. Unless and until somebody goes to court and court gives some ruling on that particular issue, you can still try your luck. You can still file your physical form in 501 and try to keep that issue alive.
The union budget was announced recently. STPM along with 12 other associations such as the Forum of Free Enterprise, Chamber of Tax Consultants, Ghatkopar Study Circle and 9 other associations has organized a public meeting on the union budget on Sunday at Somaya College, Ghatkopar. The timings are Sunday morning 9:30 to 12:30. It is free for all. It is not only for the members. It is a public meeting and all are invited for the same. There is one more public meeting which is organized by the Malad Chamber of Tax Consultants on the union budget. It is at Goregaon Sports Club and it's on Sunday at 5 p.m. at Goregaon Sports Club. Our study circle, our STP organization has also organized one more meeting on the direct tax provisions of the finance bill of 2014. That will be a study circle meeting which will be held on 18th of July at this same venue over here on the direct tax provisions. The name of the speakers will be announced shortly. That meeting is on 18th July. On that day we also have our AGM. It will be the 63rd AGM of the association. And the notices for the same have already been sent to the members. The timings were earlier announced at 5 p.m. but since there are no elections, the meeting has been preponed to 3 p.m. onwards. The annual accounts for the year 13-14 have also been circulated to the members and have also been kept on the website. In case any members wants a hard copy, the few hard copies are also available at the library and at the office. And on a request from the members, they will be made available to them. Anyways, they are available on email and on the website, and hard copies are available. Also, there is a service cell meeting on 15th of July at 3 p.m. on the 7th floor. So, in any case, any members want to attend, they may kindly attend it. There is also the 18th NRRC, which is scheduled on 23rd and 24th of August at Nagpur. The details have already been circulated in the review and on the website. So, in case any members who have not yet enrolled, kindly enroll before it gets full. Also, regarding the union budget, there is one more meeting which will be on the service tax provisions of budget. That is on 16th of July. It is being held in the specialized course on service tax. It is for the members of that specialized course. But in case any other members want to attend the same, they are invited for the same. It is on 16th July at this same venue, and the timings are from 2:30 to 4:30. And the meeting will be led by our own member, CA Ashit Shah. Coming to the pleasant task of vote of thanks, CA Kiran Gargar has led us through all the provisions, not only of the finance bill but also the latest border check post which have just been announced and and the draft rules have just come. He has minutely analyzed and given his opinion on the various aspects involved in the various amendments that have been proposed, and some of them have become act and some are still there in the rules format. He really deserves a very loud applause for the same. I request you please give a very loud applause. Thank you, sir. Please rise for the national anthem.
Shubha